I am Megan. I'm my full name Megan Boyd. I'm a lead academic advisor with NMSU Global Campus. I've been with this school since about December of 2021. First advisor hired for this particular campus. So that was kind of exciting. And now we're a big team. Today we're going to talk a little bit about online learning skills and just learning skills in general. And I'm hopeful that you'll also engage because I want to hear from you what struggles you're having so we can talk about the things that are most interesting to each of you as we go through this today. Okay, so we are going to discuss success skills for online learning and other learning. Okay, this is me, Megan Boyd. That's my husband, Jason. We live in Western North Carolina in the mountains. It's an amazing place. We've always wanted to be here and got here about 2 years ago. That's us on a hike. We also have 3 children who range in age from 3 to 33. It's an exciting group of people. I am open to conversations and questions on a one-on-one note. If any of you ever wants to come back and chat more about any of the things we discuss here today, a lot of it is available online, mostly where I found it and from a school I used to work for as well. So again, I really do want to just talk about what things are challenging for you, what things work for you. Maybe you do something that might be helpful to another student who's here today. So please feel free to jump in if you have questions or comments or you've found something that works really well. So here are a few of the challenges I thought about with any student and also being online a lot. So I think when COVID hit, we all discovered things like screen fatigue and focus being difficult, staring at a computer screen all day. Today, we'll talk some about time management and focus and attention, some tricks on screen fatigue as well. Also connecting with students and faculty, which I know can be a bit of a challenge in the fact that you're not in the same room. And maybe not in Zoom meetings on a regular basis and listening to recordings. And so a lot of communication is through chats and emails through Canvas. And so we can talk a little about that as well. Because this one gets me a lot. And I am in this part of this conversation too. One of the things we'll talk about comes from my work in a disability resource office where I worked for many years and specialized in working with students with brain injuries. So some of these things are related to that because when one has a brain injury, screen time is limited or nixed altogether. So an obvious one perhaps is making sure to take breaks. Getting out of your chair, using a standing desk can be really useful at times. I don't know how many of you might have those. I have a bar counter, so sometimes I put my computer there so I can stand and just move my body a little bit. There are resources online for things like chair yoga if you just have to sit and get through something, but just ways to get your body stretched and re-energized. Most of you have probably seen the blue light filtering glasses. You can get covers or glasses for kind of helping with the glare of the screen as well. And then the last one is the Irlen syndrome overlays. So Irlen syndrome is a vision syndrome, problem with conversion of your 2 eyes together. And they make glasses and overlays. Everyone knows what sheet protectors look like, and sometimes you can get them in different colors, or the dividers that go in a 3-ring binder that come in different colors, but they're clear. So they might be red, but they're see-through. An Irlen overlay is the same, and you can get them for books and you can get them for your computer screen. If this was something that interested you, what each of these does is filter out different colors. And so while Jody might prefer the lavender color, I might prefer the light blue, just depends on what helps your eyes relax the most. And so if anyone is interested in this resource, this presentation has the link in it, but I can also email it to you if you ever have a question about it. But I have used them on my computer to great effect. All right, we're going to jump into talking about making goals. And so part of any student's schedule is going to be making goals and meeting those goals. And part of that is the SMART goals. How many have heard of SMART goals before? Some of you?
Yes, definitely.
Great. So this is a really good way to break large chunks of assignments, reading requirements, studying into smaller, more manageable goals. And so the first is that it's specific. Rather than I have to read this entire textbook, how about I need to read chapter 1 by the end of today, right? So I'm going to pick chapter 1. It's measurable. You have 1 chapter to read, attainable. Hopefully, that's time wise something you can do. If not, cut it down again to be something you can reach in a reasonable amount of time. You want your goals to be relevant. You don't want to read Harry Potter when you're supposed to be reading biology because you need to get through biology, of course. I would always choose Harry Potter over biology, but I know that's not possible every time. And you want it to be time-based. And so if you have 1 chapter that has to get read so that you can complete another task, make that by a specific time so that you have time to also complete the task, maybe related to it, whether it's a group chat discussion board or an assignment that you have to do. So in this planning with your SMART goals is also managing your time. If you were unaware, there are 168 hours in a week. Funny side story, my friend and neighbor across the street works for a radio station and apparently gets complaints about the weatherman because the weatherman always tells people there's 168 hours with no rain in the forecast, but nobody knows how much time that is. So anyway, now you know 168 hours per week. One thing I have used with my students very regularly are Excel spreadsheets. You make 7 columns and you have your 24 rows for each day, and you map out every minute of your day. And it seems tedious. And yes, everyone's schedule is a little different each day and week to week. But as an overall, see how much time you're spending working every day. How much time you want to have for family each day, eating, hygiene, showering, getting ready, sleep, also vital to your well-being and functioning as a student. And then also build in your time for schoolwork. When I say to put in time to attend class, that is at 5 o'clock today, I'm going to log in and I'm going to work on my art history class for 1 hour. And you put that in there just like you were going to go to a class. I think that one thing I hear about online is because it's at your own pace, sometimes you put it off and put it off and put it off. If it's in your calendar, it's on your schedule, it's part of your daily agenda, then you're more likely to do it because as you continue to do it daily, you're building a habit and a routine that's easier to do the longer you do it. The same will be true for homework and studying. One thing we talk about is that if a class is 3 credits, you should expect to take an additional 6 hours a week in order to study. So in all, you're looking at about 9 hours, even though being in class might not take you a full 3. And online, you're not sitting through a lecture each time, although you might have recordings. And so you want to add that time in for every class. If you're doing 12 credits per semester, and we're talking the full 16-week semester, then you're going to need an additional 24 hours per week on top of the 12, so 36 hours a week for homework and studying and writing papers and getting ready for exams. Now, you might be really, really good at, let's say, English. Composition 1, you're taking English and you're really good at that. And so that takes you less time each week. But math kicks your butt. And so that's the one that's taking longer. So you can fluctuate those times as needed based on your own skill set, based on the things you're good at, and where you need more assistance in that. And if there's anything that will help you is using your calendar. Most people have a phone or some type of an electronic reminder option. And if you do, set those reminders, have it give you notifications. Hey, it's time to go to class. Don't forget to do this task today. And that can be very useful. Anyone else have any tips or tricks that they use for their own time management they'd like to share?
I was actually wanting to say something.
Yes, please. Oh, you muted again, Tiffany.
Hold on just a second. Okay. So I just wanted to say something that I felt worked better for me
Mhm.
because of my attention span. I normally try to, because of my schedule, I'm able to. I'm normally try to make an effort to rest on the weekends because I get very exhausted during the week by the end of the week. So one thing that I try to do when I start out my new week is, if the teacher's due dates allow for it, I try to work on my harder classes at the beginning of the week. That way I'm more rested, I'm more fresh-minded to do it. Because if I wait till the end of the week to do my harder classes, then I'm going to have an even harder time working
Yeah.
on that stuff. So that's just something that I try to do. I try to do the hard stuff first. That way I save kind of the easier stuff at the week by the time my brain's tired and I'm ready to sleep in on the weekend. So,
Yeah.
but that's just something that I try to do that helps
Oh,
me.
that's a fantastic suggestion and recommendation, and something we'll actually talk about as well. But I appreciate you sharing that, Tiffany. Thank you so much. Actually, I'm going to go here now because Tiffany brought this up, and then we'll go back. So, talking about how memory and learning work, as Tiffany said, start with your harder things first. When you're most focused, you have the most energy, you can give your all to it. That's where you go. And again, as she said, difficult subjects because you're more alert. And that can really be a helpful way to help you get through it and also remember what you're doing better. Um, Daily reviews. So I'm a pen and paper person. I went to college with, not much computer stuff. And so I took copious notes in class and then I'd go home and rewrite those notes. That was my daily review, rewriting notes. That's how I could remember things. Everyone has a little bit of a different trick they might use, but that something where you're at least going through your topics and information on a regular basis. If you're not lecturing, you might not be taking notes if you're not listening to a lecture. And so, however, you're gathering materials and information, review that, outline the chapters you read, complete the homework as soon as you can so that you can retain the new information you've learned. A weekly review also, study guides are a great thing to do. You can create them. You can create a practice test and try that out. You could, at the end here, you can pretend you're the instructor and create your own lecture out of the materials you've learned. How would you explain it to someone else? Because if you can do that successfully, it means you're understanding the materials. Okay. Also, and this is from the number one procrastinator in the room, don't cram for your exams. It's a horrible, stressful way to study for tests. It makes your life hard. It makes me grumpy. I did it a lot and the outcome was not always the best. And so the more you're reviewing means the more you're also prepping for your exams because you're helping yourself remember that. So we're going to go backwards here. This is how people remember things. When you read something, studies show you remember about 10% of what you read. When you also hear it, it's a little, or when you're hearing it, it's about 20% of what you heard is what you're remembering. Consider reading your book to yourself out loud. That might help you remember it in a little different way. Sometimes it might not be all of it, or it might be a paragraph you're getting stuck on. Read it out loud. That might help you just internalize the information. Remembering about 30% of what you see, movies, videos, informational videos, 50% of what you hear and see. So that gives you a little bit more if you're doing two different things at a time. What someone's saying and what is written. So if you're listening to a lecture and taking notes. It's helping you remember. If you can take notes in a reasonable way to help facilitate the memory of that. Demonstration. So going back to pretend you're the faculty member and giving a lecture on the topic. This is how you show that you can do it. Try the skills if they're hands-on skills. A lot of these are not, but that is another way to help with memory. Okay, we're going backwards. Staying focused. So as we transition to focus and attention, everyone's abilities differ. They change over time. They change with your family. I have a 3-year-old, and I can tell you that my focus lacks regularly because I have this constant, hey mama, hey mama, hey mama, hey mama. So thinking and focusing is difficult if I'm not in a quiet room. I'm in a room with the door locked, so that 3-year-old will stay where he's supposed to with his other family members right now. One big thing is choosing your correct environment. Okay, so some people need absolute silence to read and understand and remember what they're reading. Some people need some music in the background to kind of keep the other part of their brain busy while they're reading, so that you're not also thinking about 15 other things while reading and trying to learn new information. You might need to be near a window so you can see the outdoors. You might need to sit outside so you have some nature, or be in a room somewhere not in the main part of your house, especially if it's busy. Maybe going to a library where there's Wi-Fi. Most coffee shops have Wi-Fi. You can jump on, well, most places in general have Wi-Fi. So you could go other places to get a new environment that could help you with that. Does anyone else have a good environment that they love to study in?
They have like a place in the library now in Branson that they have a green room, so that'll make me excited.
Nice. That sounds fun.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Oops, time. So this is something I learned forever ago from a learning strategist who researched students with learning and disabilities and ADHD. But I think that this works really well for a lot of people. And it usually works for like college age students up until about maybe 60 years old. And I give that caveat because once you reach a certain age, or when you're much younger, sometimes your attention span can vary based on your age and how your brain is working. But use your age as a guide. So I am 45. And so what should be true is that I could focus for about 45 minutes, and then my focus starts to wane at the end of that. So the best thing to do is to set a timer. So if you're 40 years old, you set your timer for 40 minutes and you pick one task that you're going to focus on, and you're going to do that task. When your timer goes off, and also you're at a good stopping point, like don't just get up in the middle of a sentence you're reading, finish to a good stopping point, get up and take a break. Even if it's a bathroom break, grab a drink, run up and down the stairs at your house, take a quick walk, but about 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, and set a timer for that. I'm the person who gets up and I'm going to go do this real quick. And then an hour later, I haven't gone back to the thing I was supposed to be doing. So set that timer for your break and go back. And when you do this, set a amount of time in total that you're going to do this trick. So you're going to work for 30 minutes or 40 minutes, take a 5-minute break, work for 30, take a 5-minute break. And you can do that, say, for 2.5 hours or 2 hours, then take a longer break and reward yourself. Make your cappuccino, or watch an episode of a show, or read a chapter of a book you want to read that's not a textbook, something that rewards you and helps you just get your brain away from what you're doing, so that when you come back, you can be more refreshed to do it. Okay. Questions or concerns at this time? Or thoughts?
Yeah, I was just gonna say something like, I don't know about it. I know a lot of people are morning people, but I am definitely not a morning person. I don't care if I wake up at 6 o'clock. For some reason, my brain does not want to kick in until like noon. So I normally don't do my best schoolwork until like midday. I'm a midday person.
Sure.
So I try to do the bulk of my work if I can during that time of the day. I still try to start in the morning, but I really struggle. Like I don't retain until I get in that groove window for
Mhm.
me. So I just think like if for some people, if they're morning people, it's good to try to do your work in the morning. I would suggest, if they're afternoon people, maybe it's good to try to do your work in the afternoon. Like just try to do the harder things when you're in that brain zone of yours for
Yeah,
anybody really.
absolutely. I agree. And I think that that's absolutely true. When you're planning your time for your studying and going to class and doing work, I do think it's vital that you pick the best time of day. So thank you, Tiffany. That's a great recommendation as well. Okay. Somehow I keep getting, okay. So now we we came here and then I didn't go to the next slide because we were working backwards a little bit, but we talked a little bit about ways to help you remember things, right? So reviewing, starting with your difficult subjects first, doing daily reviews, weekly reviews, pre-exam reviews, which are essentially also your daily and weekly reviews. And ways that you can help yourself solidify your memory of the information you're learning. This is a thing of what not to do, and it's not what not to do. You absolutely can highlight and underline. You can summarize content of your class. You can read your text again. Lots of people do those things. But don't assume those are the things that are going to help you remember in and of themselves. You should couple that with the other pieces we talked about of the daily review, the weekly review, your time management skills, you're picking the right time of day. Though the chart here just shows a little bit of how your memory works, sensory memory, getting information, focusing and paying attention to it. And then you'll see at the top, the rehearsal. The rehearsal is rereading or rewriting your notes or reviewing your notes and making an outline, but it's an activity you're doing to help you, going back to that percentage of memory, the demonstration piece. If you can keep demonstrating your knowledge, then you're helping your brain remember that information. And so then you're encoding your information to your long-term memory so that when you need it on your exam, short-term memory. Exam tricks. The one major thing I talk about with exams, which I did not make a slide about, but I should have, I realize, is a brain dump. I don't know if any of you does that or not, but when I get an exam, turn it over on the back side, or, for you, it's going to be a scrap piece of paper, and you just write down all the things you can remember, because the stress of trying to hold it in your brain, don't forget the exam's coming. Oh my gosh, everything's going to be lost from my brain. I've had students repeatedly tell me they sit down, they freeze, they lose their information. Sit down instead, write down all the things you can think about. Then you have a reference point to go back to during your exam while you're taking it. And as we talked about earlier, go for the harder questions first, answer those, and then come back and do the easy ones. Some people will tell you the reverse. That can sometimes help too, just based on your amount of time when you're taking an exam. Okay, and then what do you have available to you here? So being at a university, you go to orientation, you tour the campus, you learn about the offices, you meet people. Online, you're searching for it online, and sometimes it's not obvious where the things should be living. So we have a list of resources and supports available on our website. I can also send them to you as you need them. Your advisor can do that at any time. Academic advising is here to support you. We also have student mentors. They are here, student success mentors, excuse me, to support you, cheer you on, help you find what you need, answer questions, and just really be your main point of contact. Your instructors should be a great resource with questions and concerns, things you don't understand. You know, instead of office hours, now we're emailing. And so use them. That's what they are here for. They're not just here to create a course. They're here to talk you through difficult questions that you might have. We have online tutoring, which is amazing. Most requested tutoring I get is math. So use the tutoring services. They are available through Zoom, and the students that are doing the tutoring are willing and ready to help you. Disability access. If you have a diagnosed disability, and this can be physical, mental, or learning, any of them, a disability is defined as any condition that keeps you from being able to perform a life activity of some sort without accommodations. We offer accommodations. You might need extra time on an exam. You might need some flexibility with deadlines if you have a health condition that flares up at different times. And so please use them. They have a great system and office to provide accommodations for you if you need those. We also have counseling service. And of course, you have your peers in your classes that you can talk to and discuss and ask questions of. And what does academic advising mean? Here are the things we're here to do. We are here to guide you in course selection, making a manageable schedule. What I do is my first question when I meet with a student is, tell me how school fits into your life. I used to work at a university with all traditional age students, and so this is what they were doing. And that's not always the case for our global campus students. People are working full-time and have families and have other obligations. And so let's make sure we can make that schedule manageable. We're here to direct you to resources, either that we offer or might be in your community, and we can help you research that. If you have questions, we can look at transfer credits, managing issues. If you're having any problems in your classes, you're running into a struggle with another student or a faculty member, or the material's hard, let's talk it out. The sooner you notify us of an issue, the better we can assist you with that. Reviewing your academic progress, we can talk about majors, degrees, and of course, to be your cheerleader. All right. That is the end of the official information I had to present. This I'm going to leave up for a minute because it's a list of more seminars that we're providing for students in the upcoming months, all the way through November. So please write down any you might be interested in. You will get email invitations the same as you did for today's event with reminders. I appreciate all of you attending and being students here. I have been doing this work for 20 years, starting as an undergrad athletic tutor at the University of Florida. And so I love this. I love this work, and I am here to support you and cheer you on and think outside the box of ideas. If you ever have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me or your advisor or your student success mentor anytime.